Well guys, I messed up. This is a little bit different. It's not just one specific thing that I messed up for, more of a gradual hill that I've been going down that I really just don't want to go down anymore. Cages are going to be a prime example of this. The new innovative Tokay cages, no substrate on there. And while yes, it somehow worked, I mean, we are getting Tokay gecko eggs. The fact of the matter is I think the only thing that made a gigantic difference of no production to getting production is actually putting some heat bulbs in, because this is not good ambient temps like my old room used to be. And then just feeding them more crickets. I don't think the floor really did anything. The biggest reason why I actually wanted to put the floor is to be able to feed lobster roaches and getting more protein, getting them bigger. However, while I was doing this, my lobster roach colony just collapsed. I don't have enough to actually use feeders. I need to use them as breeders. So why are there still no substrate? The reason behind why it's just an annoying, well, why don't I just show you? That about 3 times a week, or else this starts smelling, because without any substrate to absorb any odors, it just makes this area of the room smell bad. The bottom parts smell bad in the little cabinet area with the reservoirs. You have to scrub those bins at least once a week, or else they're going to start smelling really bad and developing some nastiness in there. It's gross, it's not fun, and it doesn't even look nice. All in all, it just, well, I'm not happy with it. Here is going to be another good example. Maybe you guys are starting to get what I'm putting down. We can look at stuff like Hamburger, my White's tree frog. The enclosure is just, I mean, this isn't a breeder. There's no reason to supplement the aesthetics and what goes into an enclosure like you usually do with breeders, and you get the green flag card because you're a breeder. It's a pet, and it's one that I like admiring. It's not a handable pet, so it's simply a display pet, so why is there just sticks and bark and it just looks like an empty brown enclosure with a water dish and a frog? And you can start seeing a similar pattern in most of these tanks, right? We've got some rocks, some sticks in here. Quince is a little bit different, I will give him that. Tokay enclosure for Bert, the lovely Bert. He has one fake plant and then some cork bark, lame. The keeled belly, another pet of mine, although there's a pothos, I didn't put that there. It just happened to be there from years ago and I kept it. And honestly, this has been eating at me for a little bit now. Each enclosure I go into, it's just a similar thing. Cork bark stacked lazily together to make some sort of hide in climbing area. We got the Urodactylodes, just some sticks in there. The Lineatus, just a cork bark and some sticks. We got the morning geckos, one gecko that you can really make an absolutely fantastic enclosure. I put some cork bark in there and called it a day. That's kind of the theme over here. I just put some cork bark in it and some sticks and I just call it a day. And that's really the amount of work that I'm putting in for these animals. A great prime example of your boy just really phoning it in is going to be the Super Red enclosure. The animal that I spent $3,500 on. What was I supposed to make is a beautiful, amazing enclosure for this animal. That was sponsored. Half of the stuff, the majority of this stuff, the plants, the substrate, that all came free to me. I could have spent a little bit more money and really tricked this out, but I decided to do this. Throw 2 plants together, cork and sticks, and call it a day. This looks awful, dude. This is like my most magnificent animal, and this is what it gets. Just, I mean, what am I really doing at the end of the day with stuff like this? See, in my time of this happening, this has been a thought process of me going on for years and years, just feeling a little bit more, well, at the end of the day, a little bit more shitty about myself coming in and seeing how these enclosures look. You can see my half-assed attempt putting a pot of pothos in there from Walmart, thinking I'll put some green in there and that'll make me feel better. It just, it's just half-assed, you know? It's just, it's not what needs to be done. You can't fix your problems with a pot of pothos, unfortunately. At this point in the video, I should probably explain what's going on in my method of madness, not just me demeaning myself and my character of what's going on. The fact of the matter is, I'm not happy with how things look here. I'm not happy how the enclosures look. I'm not happy how the animals are kept. and I haven't been happy with what for a pretty long time at this point. Now, for a while, I've just kind of been going with the flow, you know, the conforming to the big breeder, right? As the evolution of a collection goes from 30 to 60 to 100 to hundreds to thousands, your enclosures get a little bit more tight-knit, corners are cut, and so on and so forth. Name of the game, you know? The big breeders, they keep stuff in, you know, plastic tubs, paper, very sterile, very, I honestly, I keep it akin to like a factory setting, and that's just kind of like what you have to do. It's what everyone else does. I might as well just fall in line. Started thinking, do I look like the type of man that conforms and falls in line? Now that's when I thought of Project Jungle. Now, most of you guys probably won't know what Project Jungle is. The subs back in, was it 2020, 2021, I want to say? That's when Project Jungle was first introduced. And then nothing was done about it. And it's kind of been the pattern that's been going on here. I have these high expectations of what I want to do, and I just don't follow through. Project Jungle was a big thing of that. There was a video of me once saying that I want to take everything into PVC. Now, we did a little bit, we did some. Some's not good enough for me. My expectations are very high for my business because I want to set high expectations for myself. And when I fail those expectations, I mean, do a little bit of it, it's just not good enough. And even, what's the point of having fancy enclosures if I'm gonna have them look like this, dude? Like really? Like a factory, 2 bark, pothos each, like, why? Why have I been doing this for so long? 2 questions probably pop in your head at this point. What the heck is Project Jungle and why now? Now, we're gonna answer the why first because that's what comes before. There's the who, what, wait, why? Still gonna answer the why first. Now, 2 things actually made me really want to reiterate and reintroduce Project Jungle into this collection, this business, and this YouTube channel. Number 1 being, now, your boy, while I'm very nepotist of how I view myself, the success of the social media growth, all that, there has been some growth and I have met some absolutely wonderful people, and I'm not here to knock those people down. I absolutely love the people I've met, the facilities that I've gone to, a lot of it. However, after seeing so many of these big facilities and how they're run, I can kind of, that's the hill that we mentioned in the beginning of the video, right? It's the hill when you go, now some people call it up, the success of being a big breeder. As I see more and more of this, I feel like it's more of a downhill spiral, man. Like, we're already here, a lot of tubs, rack systems are putting in place, very monotoned, selectular enclosures instead of ones that just look nice or go for efficiency, functionality, not form and aesthetic, things of that nature, right? And the more I see these big facilities, the more I started really thinking to myself, is this really what I want to become? It's absolutely awesome seeing all these brilliant, fascinating, fantastic animals. And for the longest time, I mean, for years now, that was the dream. Having a big facility, a large variety of rare, exotic animals. But is this the cost that I'm willing? Do I want to forfeit this? How it needs to be done? Or, well, it's not necessarily need, but how it has been done in so long. Do I really want to forfeit that for these and to own these animals? And then the next question I guess comes to my mind is, what's the point of having these magnificent animals if they're kept like this, thrown away into racks where you just never really see them? The reason why I want to bring this back to light and get this back going is actually going to be, funny enough, an Instagram comment. Now, Instagram comments really just, they don't bug me very often. Any negativity I kind of just push aside because I really just don't give a shit. Someone commented about my crested gecko enclosure. Now this isn't about, I very strongly believe in how we raise up our crested geckos. Crested geckos live 20 years on average. We're giving them about 18 to 24 months in a smaller size setup to then go in an adequate size setup when they're an adult onward. I have no issues with my setup, but obviously someone's commented, and someone made a comment how the enclosures look small, blah, blah, blah. That wasn't the one that got me. What got me is a fan that replied, saying that, no, this is Dakota. He takes excellent care of his animals. The guy is fantastic. Why am I feel like I'm boosting myself? That's not what this is about. And I read that comment. I read it was like, he takes fantastic care of his animals. And I don't see it. Don't get me wrong. The animals are healthy. There's no sick animals, there's no scrawny animal, you know? Like, everyone's good and healthy here. But are the animals, when I hear excellence, I think thrivability. The animals could not thrive any further. This is excellence. The thrivability in being able to be happy, healthy animals. We got the healthy part down, but are these animals really thriving in the enclosures that I'm providing for them? Personally, I don't think so. I don't believe that they are. At the end of the day, this all falls on me, right? This is, the animals can only give what I provide for them. If I'm going to provide in what I can provide for them, which is right now, in my opinion, subadequate and even mediocre housing for the most part, that's kind of what they're getting, right? They are healthy, they are breeding and all that good stuff, but is the animal thriving? I don't think so with how I've been doing things. Years now, that's kind of been the name of the game. The enclosures kind of just get a little bit less of stuff, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. As we gather more and more animals, we're getting more expensive animals, more rare genetic mutations. How are we housing them? That's kind of the thing, right? Now today is the day where I finally say enough's enough, and we finally reintroduce and, well, I guess finally push and activate Project Jungle. Project Jungle. Project Jungle is an idea I had about 2 to 3 years ago where I wanted to take each and every cage and the animal in them and give them a beautiful, fantastic, fully fleshed and thought out bioactive vivarium. No, not the ones that we saw with the Super Red Tokay, an actual one that takes thought, precision, time, patience to actually create a living jungle inside of an enclosure. That is what Project Jungle was about. Instead of sticks and cork and calling it a day, we want custom backgrounds, drainage layers, substrates, microfauna, leaf litter, plants, but not just some pothos and some random plant that Josh's frogs gave me. No, we want meticulously thought out plants with thought in mind that how would it scape? How is the plant gonna grow? Do we want trailing plants down the front, vining plants going up the cork and the sticks, tall plants to grow out the background to really give it that jungle feel, really thinking about what the terrascaping is gonna be in mind, not just substrate, bugs, plants, and calling it a day. Dream I had, right? You know, it's a very difficult thing trying to get into the big reptile breeding game. When you're growing, you don't have that much money. You know, we're making an okay living, but we don't have a lot of money to spend at this point. However, this year, 2024, we're gonna make this dream happen. We are gonna forego expanding projects heavily like we have been. We're getting multiple animals in to really beef up our projects and our growth. We're gonna focus more on how those animals are being housed and what the aesthetics are in this building itself. Well, not necessarily this building right here. This is a temporary building, but in the enclosures itself, I should say. I have done hours upon hours of research every night from about 11 to 3 in the morning, learning about aquascaping that can then be put into vivarium scaping, learning about the art of the bioactive vivarium, how to make the best background, what plants do best, how they grow, what plants are best for this habitat versus that habitat, and really everything in between. Wouldn't you imagine 2 things came out of all that research, right? I know, a big pattern of what's been going on right now. Number 1, I have decided the morning geckos will be the first enclosure to be done. My thought process right now is we are going to do 1 enclosure at least a month until everything's done. Now, your boy did get some Christmas money. We got some gift cards to Home Depot and some garden places from the family, so we might do a couple going on. We also have some great sponsorships that are coming in 2024. We've reached out to a lot of these bioactive vivarium guys. Some very happy to see us. Some are a little bit of a we'll see what happens scenario, but you guys are actually going to be able to see like facility tours of some of these places. Absolutely awesome. They're going to be loading us up with stuff. A lot of great stuff are going to happen in 2024. We're going to have a huge kickoff, a lot of enclosures being done at once, and then more towards the middle and end, depending on how the breeding season goes, we'll still keep up that pace until everything's finished, or we will have to do it at least once a month, slowly growing while the YouTube money comes in order to fund this project. An unexpected realization came to this as well, and that's actually from the YouTube channel itself, how I film, how I edit, everything that goes into that. Now, watching hours upon hours of YouTube content, I've kind of found just what personally, when it comes to reptile content, what I like watching and what I don't like watching. And funny enough, the style of videos I make, I don't like watching. I find it very boring, very repetitive, just the talking head. I get bored very easily. Pretty much like the majority of the time, I was clicking off those videos before they started because I just couldn't pay attention more. With certain styles, I was hooked. I loved how they were doing it. I watched to the very end of that and then wanted more, and that's the style I want to do. A lot of things are going to be changing in 2024, including not only the enclosures, but also the channel itself will be evolving once again. Very excited to get this thing done. Now, remember, not everything will be scaped perfectly because it will be for the individual animals. Things like these large-bodied geckos, such as just the Leachianas and Tokes, it will be very difficult creating a planted enclosure for them with the enclosures that we have. We can't wait the, 1 month to 6 week mark for these plants to really root because these geckos need to be in here. So for this, it'll be more of an aesthetic change, right? This year I'd like to add substrate for one. Jesus Christ, we need substrate in here. Maybe add like a spider plant along with the pothos and really let that root have some LED lights to really stimulate the growth of the plants and really get this going. And then next year, or when I find that the breeding season's kind of over for these guys, they've kind of stopped laying eggs, then take them out, temporary enclosures, while we create a custom background for each and every one of these Zen habitats. Absolutely awesome, man. You guys don't know how excited I am about this. You saw a little bit earlier, we're starting to get this plant supplies. I have all the substrate ready to make my substrate mix. I have the drainage layer, everything pretty much on Friday. I think we're gonna go pick up plants, and then next week you guys will start seeing this come to life. Very excited for it. If you guys want to help make this dream come true, really up the production for the YouTube channel and the enclosures themselves, of course there's some great ways to support us over here. Patreon is the #1 thing. You get the credits at the end, which you'll see a little bit later, and a bunch of awesome behind the scenes perks. Check that out in the link. Well, you're about to see all the links will be down in the description. Merch is down there as well. Of course, buying a gecko from us. We have a bunch of crested geckos still available, and then the affiliate links down there. Get yourself a nice enclosure, some repti links, anything of that nature. Your boy gets a small pushback, and we'll be using that small pushback in order to make Project Jungle make a dream come true. And there you go, boys and girls. That is the video for today. Big changes. Livestream will be coming soon. I accidentally washed my headphones, so I had to buy new headphones. They are coming soon, so maybe on Friday or next Friday we'll have a live stream and get a lot more in depth of what's going on with this project. If that wasn't enough content for you guys, I highly recommend this playlist right here, or perhaps this video going on right there. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotics. I will see you guys next time, but until then, goodbye.